Hey, good morning, everybody. Been kind and patient this morning. Thank you so much. It's good to see everybody this morning. We'll get started. I'll use my hand so the wind doesn't blow away all my talking points. It's truly an honor to have Secretary Pete Buttigieg here in Birmingham, Alabama, particularly in the 4th Avenue Black Business District. So you all give it up for yourselves. Also like to thank the Biden-Harris administration for their intentionality, their vision, not only for America, but engaging cities directly. And so truly, and it's an honor for all of us to be here. I do want to acknowledge, before I move along, I want to acknowledge the President of the Birmingham City Council, Dr. Darrell O'Quinn, President, as well as City Councilor Crystal Smitherman, as well as City Councilor J.T. Moore, as well as Charlotte Shaw, who leads the Birmingham Jefferson Transit Authority, and not to mention the leader of the Birmingham Department of Transportation, Mr. James Fowler. With that, everybody, there's some way cooler people that are going to speak, so let me get out of the way. But I do want to state that 4th Avenue North is one of the most important streets in our city. It is the historic Black Main Street for our downtown. It is the geographic and cultural heart of the downtown grid. And we're right here beside the Carver Theater, which has been the hub of the nightlife of Birmingham's historic Black business district. And as this plane flies over our head, which is louder than I talk, today the Carver Theater sits at the intersection of two major one-way streets, 4th Avenue North and 17th Street North. Because these streets are one-way streets, that means cars move fast. Cars move very fast. And that means that far too often we have had accidents at this location. I've seen it myself. Whether intentionally or unintentionally, drivers tend to run the red light, which often results in a serious high-speed crash. And far too often those crashes end with cars slamming into the Carver Theater. Over the years, we've constructed concrete barricades so that we can better protect and shield the theater. And yet the crashes still occur. And this intersection that we're all seated and standing in, is still problematic as it relates to what happens in the 4th Avenue corridor from the Red Mountain Express on the east side to I-65 on the west side. And so when we think about major transportation barriers, we often think about the barriers created by our large interstates or by our railroads. And we definitely have those kind of barriers here in Birmingham, which we've talked to the secretary and his team about often. And those are real challenges. However, we don't always think about the damages caused by our car-oriented local roads, like the one-way streets through our downtown, not just this one. In a downtown like ours, fast-moving one-way streets can be in many ways just as devastating as other forms of barriers. And so in order for us to truly create a thriving downtown and thriving neighborhoods, we need streets where a mother can safely push a stroller across a crosswalk without fear of a deadly crash, or a person in a wheelchair can cross the street without worries of being blindsided. Our vision is to create a truly multimodal city, a city where people can walk, ride public transportation, or ride a bike to get to their destination. But to be honest with all of you, and this is something Dr. O'Quinn, who chairs the Transportation Committee for the City Council, often reminds me, we as a city are very trapped in a culture of car dependence. It will take us some time to undo this infrastructure and redesign our streets and systems. Yet this project, thank you, Mr. Secretary, this project is a major step in safer streets. With this 4th Avenue project, I want to say Again, thank you to President Biden-Harris administration, to Secretary Pete Buttigieg, as well as to Representative Terry Sewell, and the Reconnecting Communities and Neighborhood program. We can start now to address the root cause of safety issues along this corridor. We can convert this fast-moving one-way street into a much lower speed two-way local street that better supports a vibrant, thriving community. We could not be more grateful, truly. We're proud of what this project means for the people and especially the businesses along the 4th Avenue corridor. What this project means for Birmingham and what this project, like other projects around the country, mean for America. I want to remind you what James Fowler, who leads our Department of Transportation here at the city, says. Having a vision is not enough. Where we want to go in Birmingham, it's important that we have projects like this that take us there. Thank you all for making and helping us make our roads safer. And with that, everybody, I would like to introduce to you all Ms. Hatcher, who is a proud business owner, not only in Birmingham, but in this district. Not only as a landlord, but a person who truly loves Birmingham and has been an advocate for the 4th Avenue business district and corridor for quite some time, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. This is a day that I did not see coming in my lifetime. I will say in 2006, I purchased the famous theater building in hopes of making it my home as well as where my offices live. So I wanted a live workplace situation. And I have seen through the years that other people have made investments in 4th Avenue. If I could have a show of hands for those who are standing, and stand up if you are a property owner on 4th Avenue. Because I was selected to speak for the property owners, but a lot of them are here. If you have your business on 4th Avenue, please stand. So I am not alone, but I feel like I speak for me. And that's the importance in my service to this area, sitting on some of the city center master planning teams that recommended 20 years ago that we convert 4th Avenue into a two-way street. And bike lanes in later proposals. And as an avid cyclist, I love both ideas. And for some of those merchants who may not have bought into this idea, I've had 20 years to think about it. Another 5 years, 6 years since I've been a cyclist to actually experience the neighborhoods and riding through Birmingham from downtown Birmingham all the way out to Fairfield. This is a street that is very well traveled, cyclists as well as cars. This will be a demonstration on how we can share the street. And I'm so proud that it happens to be on 4th Avenue. And I appreciate the investment that the Secretary, through the leadership of Representative Sewell, has made, Biden-Harris. As the mayor says, this is an example of our tax dollars at work. We deserve to have the best on 4th Avenue. And we welcome you and hope you will stay here, go to Green Acres after this event. Come back tomorrow. Get your hair cut. Yeah, we're all open for business. Thank you. And I'm bringing up Ivan Holloway. Yep,
Right
here it is. Hold on up, Ivan. Ivan also happens to be a tenant of the famous theater building. That's where my office occupies. And I also failed to say that Studio 2H Design, if you're looking for Ivan, sometimes you come to my spot. So Ivan, take it away.
Thank you so much. This is a great day for Birmingham, especially this part of downtown Birmingham. We think about transformational projects all the time, but we now have a real-time transformational project in our district. You look around and you see buildings that are vacant. You see buildings that need tender love and care. This kind of commitment from the federal government through the city of Birmingham is deeply important to the survival, but more important for the future. When we think about investments, investments have to start somewhere. It may not be what you think the investment should be, but this is a sizable investment that will be transformational. The mayor talked about safety. I want to talk about economic development. When you think about transforming a one-way street into a two-way street, it breathes new life, new vibrancy, and new opportunity. People get a chance to traverse in a comfort zone because of slower traffic. We see this as an opportunity to really be the first investment that will transform this particular district. The Masonic Temple is scheduled to be online with a $30 million investment in 2025. And so this planning for this two-way street will really enhance that particular project. We have new property owners who have bought into the vision of the 4th Avenue corridor. They're excited about this kind of commitment from the U.S. Department of Transportation. So at Urban Impact, we want to continue to be a team builder, a team player, and as the next few weeks, months unveil themselves, there will be other opportunities for the community to be engaged with the rollout of the steps that will be involved in this process. We're talking about the grant today. We're excited, but now the work begins with engineering, with the feasibility, with all of the engagement that has to happen for this to become a reality. So we are excited about where we are today, but we're really excited about where we'll be tomorrow. So thank you, Congressman, Congresswoman. Thank you, Secretary Buttigieg, and thank you, Mayor, and thank you to the team of the City of Birmingham who worked tirelessly to put this application together.
Good morning, everyone, and what a great morning it is to be in Birmingham, Alabama. The significance of today's announcement is not lost on me. It was here in Birmingham just 2 years ago, June of 2022, that Secretary Buttigieg announced the Reconnecting Communities programs right here in Birmingham, Alabama. And he held true to his promise because 1 year later we received an $800,000 planning grant from the Reconnect Communities, which has helped us, to put together the proposal that yielded us the $14.5 million that we're announcing today. As you will hear from Secretary Buttigieg in just a moment, infrastructure is supposed to connect our neighborhoods, not divide them. Transportation networks should encourage economic development and not stifle it. But for far too many communities, especially African American communities, decisions of the past have created barriers between people and opportunity. And we see that right here on Black Main Street in Birmingham. We know that the historic 4th Avenue Business District has a very rich legacy of African American ingenuity and entrepreneurship. We also know that we've seen the crippling effects of infrastructure policy that has sought to divide us. Our people deserve better, and we are so thrilled that the Biden-Harris administration is helping us right these wrongs and level the playing field for 4th Avenue Business District. I know that this project has been in the works for many, many, many years. And as the only member of Alabama's delegation to vote in favor of the bipartisan infrastructure law, I am very proud that we've been able to play a role in securing this historic $14.5 million investment. When we talk about rebuilding our infrastructure, it is not enough to just repave our roads and bridges. If we want to truly fix what is broken, we must be intentional about rooting our historical inequities and lifting up the communities that have been left behind. I am extremely grateful for President Biden and Secretary Buttigieg for understanding that equity in infrastructure includes reconnecting communities that have been, over historical time, been divided from economic opportunity. Investments like these will go a long way in leveling the playing field and advancing the quality of life that we know Alabamians deserve. I am excited to bring up the Secretary of Transportation, but I'm more excited to say that this is his third visit. And Mayor, we need to give him a key. And I think all of us will agree that we welcome the opportunity to have federal investment in our infrastructure, and especially this particular program. It's a once-in-a-lifetime transformational opportunity to have trillions of dollars invested all across America in transportation projects, and to have a special program, a pilot program, reconnecting communities. The fact that you announced it here, Secretary Buttigieg, and you gave us $800,000 for our planning grant, I just want to say thank you for the $14.5 million that I want to introduce to you all and bring to the podium Secretary Buttigieg.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you for joining us. What a pleasure to be back. Thank you very much to your extraordinary Congresswoman, Terry Sewell, who is, I think you already know this, but she lives and breathes her Alabama communities, and she never lets us forget what they need. There is always, when I see her, a thank you for this, and here's what my communities need next, as it should be. And as she noted, the only member of the Alabama delegation to vote for the bipartisan infrastructure law, which means that every penny of this project and every penny of the billions coming to Alabama for infrastructure is there because she and others partnered with President Biden to get this infrastructure package done. She believed in it. She worked with us. We are grateful to her.
Promotion.
I want to thank Mayor Woodfin, who has been a friend and somebody I've respected greatly since we were both youngster mayors in the community of American mayors. The job of mayor has only become more demanding and more difficult since I proudly wore that title. Though it would have been nice back when I was mayor if there had been $1 trillion infrastructure package come from Washington. But Mayor, thank you for your vision, your leadership, and your friendship. I want to recognize all of the community and business leaders who are here, who have joined us, including those we just heard from, Mr. Holloway, Ms. Hatcher, whose vision and passion and readiness to put their money where their mouth is in terms of taking risks in support of this community, as every entrepreneur does, is something that inspires us to make sure we match their investment and their risk-taking with those federal taxpayer dollars to help build up this community. I know Senator Doug Jones is here. I want to thank you for continuing to be a great leader and a great voice and a great friend. And even though he can't be here today, every transportation secretary winds up putting capstones on things where the cornerstone was laid by somebody else. And I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge my friend Secretary Anthony Fox, who got the ball rolling on the conversation in a whole new way about equity in transportation when he was serving under President Obama. I do not believe this program would be possible if it were not for the leadership and the groundwork that he laid, so we are in his debt as well. Before we get into the moment and the project we're celebrating, I do want to acknowledge that there continues to be shock and pain in Baltimore and around the whole country in the aftermath of the tragedy that took place 1 week ago yesterday. We continue to mourn those construction workers who lost their lives. We're going to work every day to deliver on President Biden's promise that the administration will make sure Baltimore can recover. Nothing makes me feel at home like hearing a tornado siren being tested. It's like I'm all right.
Of course, wasted the money.
And I assume that the city is responsible for the weather today, so thank you for the sunshine. It's snowing back in my house in Michigan, so we'll take this any day. I'm glad your system is in good working order too. I feel very safe. Look. We're here because infrastructure shapes our lives, and so we're going to have to give that a minute. All right.
They're worse.
Better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So, look, we're here because everybody here recognizes all the ways in which infrastructure shapes our lives. We feel it when something goes wrong. Sometimes we don't pay attention to it when everything goes right. But a lot of work goes into making sure that it goes right. That's what today is about. It's about better infrastructure for the future, and it's about putting right things that have been done wrong in the past. Part of what brings me to Birmingham today is recognizing the consequences of infrastructure decisions that were made generations ago, and our regard for a community's vision to change that. That's part of why it's so special to be back in Birmingham a little less than 2 years since my last visit. It was a real privilege this morning to tour 4th Avenue with Mayor Woodfin, with Representative Sewell, and with local community leaders to see the history, the heritage, and most importantly, the hope for the future here. You could feel what it meant for generations as this district thrived, where Black residents opened shops and restaurants and cultural institutions like the Carver Theater. Alabama's first Black-owned bank opened just a few blocks away in 1890. And of course, we are not far from the A.G. Gaston Motel, a landmark of the civil rights movement, which I had the privilege of celebrating with you, many of you who were here just a couple of years ago. And I would add, that motel, a testament and a symbol, reminding us of the connection between justice and civil rights and transportation, between the ability to freely move around our country and our communities, and the social mobility that was part of the promise of the civil rights vision of greater justice. But in the 1960s and 70s, two monumental infrastructure decisions began to divide and burden and disempower this neighborhood: the construction of I-65 and the decision to convert 4th Avenue to a one-way street so that it could rapidly shunt people in and out of this city in ways that isolated a once thriving Main Street from that broader community. I've heard stories of how the incredibly important and historic 16th Street Baptist Church lost membership. Some even saying that it didn't really remain possible to be the kind of neighborhood church that it used to be because the neighborhood itself had been disempowered. And yet that church, standing today as a congregation that serves the next generation and as steward of one of the most important searing events of the civil rights movement, makes this such an important place to discuss the relationship between the past, the present, and the future. And that's what we are knitting together right now. Those decisions made around the time of the 60s and 70s, but also for generations before, were felt most acutely by the Black community in Birmingham. That has happened again and again around the country, and it would be foolish to characterize that as a coincidence. Choices displaced Black homes and businesses and created physical barriers that still keep people apart, still limit people's ability to walk safely and comfortably. We recognize that reality. We acknowledge that reality, first because it is important to understand how conditions of the present are related to the choices of the past, but also because facing our past, as Birmingham has taught us again and again, is the first step toward making better choices about the future. This is not an exercise in blame or guilt. It is an opportunity to mend, to repair, and to make current and future generations better off, which is exactly what you were doing here and exactly why we are so proud to support it. I know this vision is a long time coming. Satcher talked about how it was 20 years in the making. I won't even tell you what I was doing 20 years ago. But now it is here. And that is why, on behalf of the Biden-Harris administration, I'm thrilled to join you to officially celebrate the $14.5 million award to restore and reconnect 4th Avenue. It's going to revitalize 15 blocks. It's going to restore the two-way design that was original to this neighborhood, but also add more modern features. People are going to find it easier and more comfortable and more safe to move on this corridor, whether walking or, yes, biking or riding the bus or driving. A road can either divide a neighborhood or blasting vehicle traffic through the heart of a city without regard to those who live and work there, or that same road with a better design could tie that neighborhood together. A road can either serve to evacuate or to invigorate a neighborhood. And I know that this area will be invigorated, that people will be better able to take a walk, to shop at a local business, to get their hair cut, to walk to church, to eat a green acre, something I am sincerely looking forward to doing a little bit later on. And to run into people and have those chance encounters that make cities cities. I know what this kind of transformation can mean because we lived it in South Bend when I was mayor. We had a pair of two-way streets that went right through our city. They moved cars really quickly, but they choked off the life of our downtown. And the public dollars that we invested in that transformation quickly came back to us when we turned them into livable, walkable, complete streets, as tens of millions of dollars in private investment came from businesses who told us that the street transformation was part of their decision. Restaurants thrived, businesses grew, and most importantly, traffic collisions decreased. And I fully expect that you're going to see similar benefits here in Birmingham. There's so much more at stake here than just a mile and a half of roadway. It's a place that shows that historic restoration is not an academic exercise. It is an investment in a better everyday life. It is one of the most practical things you can do. And yet, the symbolic resonance of doing it here is not lost on me. I know that we are on hallowed ground. 60 years since the Civil Rights Act. The courage that people showed on these streets changed America's history for the better, helped make our democracy more democratic. And yet we know that was also far from the end of the story. So the relationship between our past and present and future is physically encoded in our infrastructure. That's true here. It is true across the country, from Buffalo, New York, to Atlanta, to Portland, Oregon, to Portland, Maine. Just about every city in between. That's why President Biden made sure to weave equity into the bipartisan infrastructure law, creating a first-of-its-kind Reconnecting Communities program to build infrastructure that unites where federally funded infrastructure once served to divide. And we know that the example from here can radiate out, as Reverend Shuttlesworth said, as Birmingham goes, so goes the nation. Now, as was mentioned, we were here to announce this program a couple of years ago, but that didn't come with any guarantees that we were going to be able to fund the project. So I want to make sure you know how much you have to be proud of. This is an unprecedented level of funding, but we still got far more applications into this program than we could support. Matter of fact, 3.5 times more funding was requested around the country than we were able to support. So you have a lot to be proud of that your project is one of the winners. And no pressure, but we have very high expectations for the results from this project.
Oh, man.
I just want to note that we're doing this work all across the region, too. We got to celebrate the launch of the Birmingham Express in 2022. In 2023, we were proud to support Birmingham with $21 million to support another section of the city's streets. You're welcome. And not just here. In Decatur, we're helping to reconnect Old Town to the stores and shops along the riverfront. In Pelham, we're building a bridge so that drivers and pedestrians, and importantly, emergency vehicles, can safely and efficiently get across a rail line where trains block half the community for a big part of every day. I know what a community headache that is in so many parts of Alabama. In West Montgomery, we're connecting residents to the Selma to Montgomery Trail so people can walk safely or take their bike to jobs downtown. So this is a good day. I know we're living in turbulent times, times that sometimes make you hesitate to turn on the television and see what the news is, but we have good news today to celebrate together. And just the last thing I'm going to mention, something that all 40,000 infrastructure projects that the Biden infrastructure plan is funding have in common is not one of them was cooked up at the U.S. Department of Transportation headquarters in Navy Yard, Washington, D.C. These are locally led, community-driven visions. Biden-Harris administration came to office understanding that the good ideas weren't all going to come from Washington, but that more of the funding should. And now, at last, it is. Congratulations, and I'm thrilled to see what you're going to do with this.